Hello, Rebel. Division 4D. This is your recap for Game Week 2. I am Chug Manmilk. Thanks for tuning in. So, unfortunately, we don't have a co-host this week. Not because we weren't able to get one in terms of availabilities or people wanting to be on the recap, but unfortunately I really didn't have the time this week to sit down and plan in advance the recap too heavily. I didn't have the time to sit down and then invite co-host in and all that. So this is sort of off the cuff in order to make sure a recap gets out this week. Apologies. We'll definitely have a co-host in next week. We'll return to normal service, but the only time that I had this week I had to dedicate to my other division because it has been a hectic one for me. So next week I'll probably be asking one of Blowback, Rift Cannon, or I think Crepsulum to come join me on the show. I think those were the three that were interested the week before when I picked Masterful. So I'll definitely chase one of you up for Game Week 4. Or Game Week 3 technically, because that's what we'd be recapping. But yeah, that's why this is going to be probably a little bit more concise as well. And speaking of the show being a tad more concise, I've gone through REBBL.net and seen who's got level ups on their team, and we won't really be talking about anyone who didn't either get a level up or had their team ruined. So if we miss your team, and don't worry, my team gets missed because I haven't gotten Bumpkus in the last game week. If we miss your team, we'll cover you again no matter what next game week. And again, normal service will resume for Game Week 3's recap. But thanks for tuning in again. It's been quite an exciting one. Well, I say quite an exciting one. There's a lot of draws here. But I assume that's just Game Week 2's nerves. People who have gotten wins in the Game Week 1 wanting to hold on to their leads. Just a draw is a strong... If you win or draw or have two draws, it's a decent start to the season. I'm sure that's part of why we see a lot of these results going the way they did. But without further ado, we'll start with this one. Khemri versus Nurgle. So that's Masterful versus GFI Joe. If we look at this game, it seems fairly equal in the arm breaks. But then we get to the injuries, and Blood and Sand definitely outdid the Nurgle. But that's the thing about Nurgle, isn't it? That's the thing. When you have a pretty deep bench, you can kind of take those. Bash matchups with teams that have quite a good amount of fodder usually can be quite bloody, but not really swinging the game massively in one way or the other, depending on when those injuries come. And for GFI Joe to turn that kind of injury, that one-sided injury fest, into a win, pretty impressive. But I think I saw on G-Man's on the G-Man chat, apparently Masterful had a bit of a bad time in terms of some freak occurrences. And with Khemri's ball handling skills, naturally, it's understandable that a 1-0 can happen, even as we can see, KOs and injuries seems quite one-sided in some respects. 3 extra injuries compared to the other guy's injuries. I would say, well, obviously you're matching in KOs and injuries are happening and removals are happening, but this can be the 3 can be a lot depending on when they came. Again, would love to have checked that one out, but didn't have really the opportunity to. This one is obviously was kind of destined to be a bloodbath. Tcard's Norse versus Rift Cannon's Chorfs. The arm breaks did happen, but injuries and KOs, a lot of KOs for the Chorfs, but the injuries on both sides fairly equal. I think the Norse will be very happy with this one. 0-0 is kind of hard to take in some respects, obviously. You would prefer to win always, of course. But considering Tcard probably had the faintest the faintest hope that his team wouldn't be destroyed, and that came true. Not a bad one. 0-0 means that both teams have started off decently strong, I believe. Very unfortunate MVP on a loner, who was never going to get hired. But a great pick up there for the Norse, now having a level 4 Alpha now. Can't wait to check out what he picked for that. Again, another ball draw between Yossarian's Skaven and Mattia's Norse. A death is there, and we'll be talking about that because something happened. Something was fulfilled this game. But in terms of statistics, quite equal as a blocking affair, which is always surprising with Skaven. Yes, they are 3 strength mostly, apart from the gut runners, and we do have a 5 strength Rat Ogre on the pitch. But it does seem that the Skaven had a little bit of the better in terms of blocking, because with the 7 arm breaks they had, 2 KOs, 3 injuries, 1 kill. I believe because the injuries and kills are... The kill that is in there is also in the injury. So if he hit 7 times and got 6 removals, that's pretty amazing for Yossarian, and he'll be very happy with that. 1-1 though, with what pieces these teams had, the Adjunct Wharf, the Gut Runners obviously for Skaven, I'm sure both will be a little bit sad they couldn't push for the 2-1. We definitely predicted that it would be a bit more of a scoring fest when we did last week's recap. But then again, shared glory is quite equal. No one can be too unhappy with that, I'm sure. Then we had Crepulum's Legion of Dead Metal versus Helgen's Marco Nurgle. 1-1. Lot of armor breaks there, okay. Oh my god. Yeah, 3 kills. This was a terrible, terrible game week for Crepulum. We'll talk about that when we get to covering the teams. As a disclaimer, we did kind of play our game just before I recorded this. So when we look at Crepulum's team, there are extra things on his team for this game week that we have to kind of ignore. I'll point them out, but there are things that we have to then take notice of. But yeah, it seems like Season 2 Nurgle for Helgen's going massively, massively well. Kind of surprised the 1-1 was all that happened. I'm guessing what happened was the second half was entirely one-sided. But Crepulum managed to score in his first half, and that's what happened. So, rough draw. He paid the iron price for that one, certainly. And now we have Gunnerside's High Elves versus Wraithguard's Dark Elves. Low in armor breaks as typical of an elf game. But I'm guessing the Mighty Blow did quite a few things there. Maybe it did, yeah. Maybe Mighty Blow did something there. Because a few more things stuck for the High Elves, and this might have been enough to tip over the balance to allow a cleaner second chance of a touchdown for Gunnerside, and yeah, he took it away. 2-1 grind, maybe. A very good result and a very strong start from a coach and a team we thought would be up there. I think last week's prediction was definitely, we were assuming this might be a little bit of a scoring fest. If I'm once again remembering right, I think Masterful predicted a bit of a closer score here, so he was right in that case. But the High Elves, who have a little bit more offensive prowess with their catches and their movement, came out on top. But, you know, considering the Dark Elf team is probably the weakest team in this current division in terms of level ups, when you come across a more jacked team like Gunnersides, you can't be too upset about that. And now we have the free game of the week. This was my game. I don't want to be like the guy who recaps the divisions and only talks about his own game. So I'll try and keep this as brief as possible. By turn 6, we were 3-0 down. He received, he scored. I received, he got a short kick blitz on the touchdown line and just walked a catcher under it and scored. Then we got sacked. So it was horrible. But on turn 8, we managed to score with a goblin receiver. He started losing players, wasn't getting them back, couldn't protect the ball, got turned over. And then, where catcher failed a dodge, we managed to get the ball all the way up the pitch and make it 4-4. He powered Scold on his one-turn touchdown, couldn't make it happen, 4-4. Crazy game. Probably ended up us being a bit luckier because he played it insanely well. But I think the riot we got to be able to make the 4-4 happen was just a recompense for the short kick blitz. Let's say that. But well played to my opponent. Obviously, crazy game. I would check out either on Cabal Vision or on my VODs if you go to my channel, Chugmanmilk at Twitch. Crazy game. And then a pretty damn good result here for the Halflings. So, for those who don't know what the Halflings were like looking at, what they were looking at this game was, I have no trees and my Edge guy is dead for the game. We predicted you go 3-0, weather the storm, try and do something. But Bungie, man, in complete defiance of what we thought was going to be the right move for the Halflings, was like, I'm going to stomp and kill every skink that I can possibly get my hands on. Didn't kill quite as much as he said he was going to kill. But you have to say, not a bad amount of blocks succeeded for the Halflings. Injuries were way down. And the only thing that injured, I don't think, was permanent. So for the Halflings to be able to only lose 1-0, a massive result. Well done, Bungie. Not to be patronising, of course, but when you have no trees and your Starfling is gone against the Lisbon team, which is a very effective outfit at the best of days, fantastic result. So that's the end of the game week. Have to say, nothing too shocking, I don't think, in terms of results. The most shocking things are the Halflings didn't lose by more. The Norse team is still alive. And yeah, I guess this game because it has like 8 touchdowns in it, but nothing too shocking there. One assumes it's probably a little bit to do with the second week nerves. Hopefully we'll see some really insane results in the next few game weeks. But that now leads us into our team recap part of the show. As I say, I have my list of teams we're not going to really recap, unfortunately. We're not going to recap Kretsilum's level ups that he got in the game that he just played. In the game he just played, he managed to level up his Flesh Golem. Freddie Mercury leveled up, and he also leveled up his Werewolf, and he lost his Ghoul. So those three things happened. We will cover this team more in depth when we actually get to Game Week 3's recap, so I'm not going to completely skip over you, Kretsilum, because of that. But what I need to say is, he lost 3 pieces last game week. He lost a Flesh Golem, and he lost 2 zombies. The 2 zombies were actually pretty decent. They were a guard piece, and I think a block kick. Considering how much kick can do for a team, and how he lost 2 of his guard pieces in that game. Although only one of those pieces was a real positional, it's still a little bit of a terrible thing for the Necro. So, condolences there to Kretsilum. Not only losing guard is always bad, but also for the next game week, that meant he had no bench, which is always scary. You thrive off of having a fouling threat, even if you don't have any dirty player, just because you have such a deep bench, and the Necromantic was sorely lacking because of that bloodbath in the last game week. Matthias didn't have any level ups either. Very unfortunately. But you'll be looking at this team and you'll realise, hang on, something looks a little bit different here. And what looks different is one of his werewolves died. The good werewolf. He lost his adjunct sprint, I think it was, blodge werewolf. Yusarian killed it, so well done, Yusarian. You managed to win £6 or $6 or whatever currency the payee is giving out this season. That means one of the good werewolves in this division is down. One more to go. Anyone who wants to either be in there with a shout to potentially win the shirt or make a little bit of money, purchase the newest Warhammer DLC, that kind of thing. You now have Crepsulum to bully and to kill. You can always, of course, injure his werewolves right now, but remember, because they don't have doubles, they're not worth as much. $1 if they don't have doubles. If they're doubles or a skill or a stat up, they're worth $5. So, unlucky to Mattia. Apparently he lost that because of a snaked GFI into a throw block that must have been a POW into death. No regen. Always hate to see that, but there you go. There you go. Next is Rift Cannon. Now, Rift Cannon didn't have any level ups either, but he did take some damage. Most notably, whoever plays Rift Cannon next week doesn't have to deal with Mighty Blow piling on Juggernaut Pro. If you're a Lizard team, you're very happy about that. If you're any team, you're really happy about that. But being down the blocker has been massive for the next game week. I still think that Rift Cannon will be able to get a result either way because of the strength of his team and the strength of his coaching. But well done to Tcard. Whoever is playing Rift Cannon next week, Tcard is now your best mate. Remember that. And then we have Masterful, who didn't roll any level ups. I'm glad we're getting them out of the way first. Masterful did take a nudge down to a skeleton, but unfortunately it's not really worth talking about. Sorry, Masterful. Maybe next week. But Yasarian, I think, did actually get some level ups. Oh wait, no, we missed Tcard. We missed Tcard, and Tcard did get level ups. He now has a block Mighty Blow guard Ulf Runner, considering how much of a premium that guard is on a Norse team. Massive pickup for him. But he paid a little bit of an iron price, because now he has an MG'd ball-carrying landsman. With the amount of Edge on his team, this shouldn't be a massive deal. He can just put it on the runner and have that be the ball carrier. And considering that's so close to a level up, I'm sure he won't mind doing a vanity pass on a touchdown to then get that blodge. But it will be a little bit of a bad thing for Tcard that he's missing his landsman. Not the end of the world, though. Depending on his matchup, he could not miss that at all. And now with a healthy bench and a healthy team, this Norse team is looking molto bene, as they say in Italy. But to Yasarian's team now, finally. So his gut run's out. Just missed next game. Team's still looking a bit busted, but he managed to get the new Storm Vermin in, which is a massive positive for him. I think Kanye Pest was the thing that leveled up. Hold on. He is now slowly moving back towards having all of his positionals here. He now has 1 Gut Runner, 2 Gut Runner, 3 Gut Runner. Yeah, he has all of his Gut Runners back. He just needs to maybe think about recycling ASAP Rocket when he has the chance to. But we have to remember, how busted was this team when he went into the season? And for him to be rebuilding this and doing it quite well, hats off to Yasari, and I would have quit this team a long time ago. But yeah, Kanye Pest got block, keeps it alive more. Vanilla Mice is back. Slay Z2 is back. Let's hope for him these two Storm Vermin become monsters again for the rest of the league. Let's hope not. Big loss, though, in his Saka. This will really hurt his defensive chances in the next game. Helgen also got level ups. If my notepad is correct. Yeah. So now I think he already had block on the Pestigore. Guard on the Rotter is pretty useful. Guard wherever you can get on the Nurgle team. Not too hard to get guard, of course. You know, you have 9 pieces potentially on the pitch that can get it naturally. But that guard is pretty nice. And with an absolutely fat bench, the only issue currently with Helgen's team is the Pestigores are a little bit undeveloped. Getting really quite bloaty though. Needs to Helgen carve for 50k for next game. But though this is like 1700, effectively, the SPPs are in all the right places. We wish the Pestigores could be a bit more, but I think that this is a point where it's bloaty, but it needs to be bloaty rather than bloaty and giving away inducements and losing games because of that. This is just a really quite good and effective team. He might want to think about recycling some of these rotters, because wrestle on a rotter there, but probably not. He probably want to keep those bodies anyway. No point in recycling if you don't need to. But yeah, well done, Helgen. You're really getting into the Season 2 Nurgle spirit and doing well because of that. Gunnerside didn't get anything, unfortunately, in terms of levels, so we won't be covering you, unfortunately. Sorry, Gunnerside. I didn't. I did this week, so we'll cover me next week. Didn't lose anything. The halflings did actually get their trees back. So Bungie replaced the armor down tree. Don't blame him. I could have seen the tree surviving a little bit longer, but I suppose he thought, well, nothing too special on the tree. 10 armor is more important. Where's the 7? Yeah, so he got sure hands on the halfling. You always have sure hands on the halfling. Okay, now hold on. So I'm assuming, because I don't see the 17 SPP guy. No, I'm completely wrong. Yep, Bilbo the Buoyant, his level up, the 1 level up he got in that game, I think, got sure hands, a massive pickup. Could have gotten block instead, but sure hands is also perfect. Better for the 1-turners. Better for just being useful. Just it will be quite relevant. And who cares about block anyway? You have Puggy. Without a bench after taking quite a beating in the last few games, though, Bungieman needs something. He needs a few games where he doesn't lose anyone to perms, so he can have a decent and deep bench. Because just adding 60k but having an assured bench for maybe the second half is probably worth more than, say, an extra Bloodwise Babe to me. But that's just me. That's just me. Now we have more Blowback's team who did get level ups. And I think the sure hands on the block skink is a new thing. Yeah. Yeah, so he got the newest thing that he got was the Blood Sure Hand Skink. A scary piece, and after I was saying, well, his skinks are pretty good, but potentially a bit bloaty. This is the most efficient skink in the world, I think. It's got everything you need. It's still, obviously, Rackle is going to be a big problem for it. But the one thing that Visserman's really sort of struggled to deal with is ball handling. And yeah, now he's got it. Perfect. Perfect pickup there for more Blowback. Just 1 level up, but it's a big one. That could be enough to win games, having that sure hands. Because it either will pick up on a sack. If you sack someone, you will have that free pickup even if you have to use your reroll. Yeah, perfect. Everyone loves a sure hand skink. The next thing you need to get for that though, Blowback, is roll good enough to get an agi up, and then we'll maybe think about bountying it maybe. Wheelie's Merc with Athletic, which was my opponent, did get level ups. I think the two most prominent level ups he got were, he got this dodge on the catcher, which is necessary. You really kind of need the protection, and the fact is that one of his catchers failing a dodge because he didn't have any dodge on the catchers because they were so criminally underleveled, probably because, you know, kept dying, just couldn't put any SPP on them. Potentially the catcher, this one was hogging it because of how amazing he is. Now the catchers are developing, this Pro Elf team become a lot more terrifying, I think. The offensive prowess of Pro Elves is already fantastic. You just need those built-in rerolls to really make it work, because it can be kind of a rough ride in the very early TVs. But he picked up the dodge, and on this MNG catcher, which almost died, but he managed to save it. Sorry guys, he picked up Leap. Leap's not bad, helps with the offensive plays, can also help with the defensive plays. Leaping on 2 is always fantastic. Great level ups for Wheelie. But unfortunately, 1 or 2 MGs means he's going to be a tiny bit short-staffed for the next game. Not too badly. Should probably fire the move down linesman. If I had to say what he'd get for his next catcher, it could be just dodge, have them all be offensive threats. But I also think that having a wrestle catcher as a Zaka is a great idea. I played a tabletop tournament this last Saturday, and the wrestle catchers really, really helped that one. So yeah, good elf team. Unfortunately, Wraithguard didn't get any level ups. I think maybe this team is a bit bigger than it was, so we'll look into it briefly. He does have his 13 players now. Yep. 13 players. No longer dealing with an injury crisis. He'll have, if he wants to foul, he can foul. But if he comes across anyone who's a bit of a deadly coach, he comes against the Nurgle or the Norse or the Chorfs, he's well suited for this. So all in all, even if you're not getting level ups, the fact that your team is now full and fresh and ready for anything is probably the next best thing. And finally, GFI Joe, who did get bashed about a bit in his win. His bench is looking a lot less healthy and robust. He rolled, I think, 1 level up. And that was GFI Joe the Rotter got block. Yeah, not bad. You would wish for a bit more than that. Oh, no, he didn't. GFI Joe block already got block. He just got a second... he just got a second date player. Yeah, pretty good. And recommendations for how this team should go forward. Well, you can always kill things to get more rotters. But I think this team is going through a bit of a personnel crisis. I wouldn't hate seeing 2 more rotters on the bench purchased just because whoever he plays next, if he plays a kill team, he either wants the ability to take out the most dangerous places with fouls, the most dangerous players with fouls, or to be able to survive being hit himself. He could also just get mercenaries, but that's probably a bit more of a waste of money. Speaking of who could GFI Joe be playing next week, how about we just look at the matchups, and we have our answer. GFI Joe is playing Tcard's Norse. So yeah, recommendation for you, GFI Joe, maybe pick up the 2 rotters of the money. I know buying rotters is a bit of a faux pas for some people, but I think you'll need the bodies. This is potentially a brutal matchup. If you want my prediction, and you're getting my prediction because it's prediction corner, I would probably say Tcard has this match kind of wrapped up. Doesn't match him in strength really, but what he lacks in strength he has in guard. He has more guard. He has more kill skills. He has the better potential to do damage. He has his piling on. But he also has edge if he has to make certain silly plays, because the Bash game falls apart. There is more to that Norse team than there is to the Nurgle team. So I would say 2-1. 2-1 to Smashy Severa. In the matchup of Blood on the Sand, that's the Khemri versus the Skaven team of Isarian. The potential for death and for murder on that Khemri team is pretty massive. And without that Strength Guard runner, Isarian might struggle. Also in this game, I think the Rat Ogre is a little bit of a target, to be fair. A lot less mobile, can't really get away from things, and the Mighty Blow, reducing him to armor 7, has the potential for a bit of a bloodbath. I could easily see this being a 2-1 just because gut runs are fantastic, and the bad ball hanging skills of Khemri will kind of come into play, potentially. In which case, 2-1 is very likely. Maybe even more. But if things go terribly, the Rat Ogre gets killed and that kind of thing. This is a matchup I'll say it'll be 2-1 to either side. It can be very swingy, and it'd be unfair for me to say definitely someone's an advantage in here. There is no advantage here. The third matchup rather, I can't count. The third matchup will be Rift Cannon's Chorfs versus Nurgle. That's Helgen's Nurgle, and lack of Mighty Blow, Claw piling on in Sparks being out will be massive. For the first time, I think, in the entirety of the game weeks, this will be the I think at least. I think that's the Chorfs giving away some money. Pretty big. They can get definitely pick up, I would say, a bribe and foul some danger pieces. The potential of the block, Claw, Mighty Blow, Pestigore, just taking out pieces left, right, and center is always a possibility. But at the end of the day, I do think that the Chorfs are a little bit more efficient as a team. The amount of guard they have can't be discounted. And also some of the stat freaks they have, or the one stat freak they have. The amazing ball center they have is also just phenomenal. I think, therefore, because the Chorfs have a little bit more to them than Helgen does on his team, even though that's a very good Nurgle team for Season 2, Chorfs probably have this 1-0. Let's say 1-0. For Matthias Necros versus Gunnersides, High Elves, the lack of the Edge Wolf makes things a lot more painful. Because Mathieu is, I think, assured a wizard. If it was, you get to keep your Edge for Blodge piece, but you also have a wizard, I would say this has a potential to be much more closer of a game. But the fact is that considering that there's a slightly better removal potential on the High Elves, and because the Necro are looking kind of rookie-ish in comparison, I don't want to say 2-0 to the High Elves, because I do think that Werewolves being 8 movement means they can still kind of score pretty easily, but 2-1 to the High Elves is, I think, my fairest assessment. Unfortunately, the hits that Matty has taken in the last few weeks really we're going to see it come to a head here, where I predict defeat because of that. Keely the Wolf dying. But prove me wrong, Mattia, prove me wrong. My game got played 2-0. Won't talk about it. Talk about it next week, maybe. Dark Elves versus the High Elves. Not the High Elves, the Halflings. Well, who knows? Maybe the assassin he has could do something against 6 armor. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to predict something very bold and say the assassin will pull his weight entirely. But the 2 Mighty Blow also, not counting the assassin, of course, because he's the silly pick. The 2 Mighty Blows is enough to really hurt the Halflings. Elves are usually a terrible matchup for specifically the Halflings, the stunty team. 2-0. I know I'm now Bungie's biggest fan after the chutzpah he showed in saying I'm going to destroy more Blowback's lizards. But being fair and impartial, a 2-0 is very likely been the cards. And speaking of more Blowback, we have his Lizardmen versus the Pro Elves. The Pro Elves losing that catcher for a game week is really tough. I can't, in good conscience, write off the Pro Elves because they have 2 catchers still, and as we say, even at TV 1000, the amazing offensive prowess of a Pro Elf team due to catch, due to Nerves of Steel, means that this could easily swing. And the fact is, he's getting inducements, he has the Wizard, and the Wizard is enough to just say, okay, you skink that you have Blodge and Sure Hands on. I could lightning bolt that, potentially even kill it, and I get the ball, and you will struggle for any subsequent offensive drive. So knowing that this is a Wizard Pro Elf team versus the Lizards, giving up about 400 inducements, maybe 350. Didn't do the math, but 350. That's a Wizard, and that's potentially something like, say, Prince Marathian, who, being Rackle, being Dauntless, could really add something as well to the team. If not Marathian, you could get Babes, you can get someone else in terms of a star player. Could get Sidewinder. So, because of that, I would say 2-1 to the Pro Elves. I think that I always fancy a Elf team that's given a Wizard, even if they're down TV and if they're missing their best player. So yeah, those are the predictions for this game week, and thus the end of the show. Again, apologies for no co-host. I don't like doing shows solo because it's much less natural. But as I say, very busy. Be thankful you got this anyway. Be thankful. Nah, but really, yeah. Next week I'll be in contact with the people who showed interest last game week if they want to get on the show. I'll try and be a little bit more on top of it next game week, but for now, thanks for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you for the recap this time next week. Good luck with the game week, everyone. I hope your games are as fruitful as mine was. Stay safe.